Welcome to the discussion video on Module 3, Bank Reconciliation. So, before we already have discussed cash and cash equivalents. So, now let's go to bank reconciliation. After this discussion video, we will be able to understand the need for bank reconciliation, bakit ginagawa yung pagre-reconcile o pag-prepare ng bank reconciliation statement. We identify the items affecting the cash in bank per ledger and per bank statement. So, pag sinabing per ledger, per company book at per bank statement, doon sa depositary bank mo. Know how to prepare bank reconciliation and to prepare necessary adjusting entries para doon sa cash in bank per ledger and cash in bank per bank statement. So before we proceed to the actual preparation of a bank reconciliation, we first need to understand yung concept ng bank deposit o yung pag-open ng isang bank account ng isang entity. So ang pag-open ng isang bank account ng isang entity ay it is a need now, especially for businesses, to effect or for a more efficient transactions, yung payments na from payments to suppliers at payments at receipts mo naman from your customers. So let us first identify yung three classification ng bank deposits. One is demand deposits. Ang ibig sabihin nitong demand deposits, these demand deposits are withdrawable at once at ito ay mayroong kalakip na checkbooks. So ibig sabihin yung if you already have learned yung 'di ba business entities may maintain ng mga checking accounts, these are classified as demand deposits which are normally non-interest bearing. Walang interest na earn because it is withdrawable at once by issuance of a check. Savings deposits is uh, is also withdrawable at once, however, it is interest-bearing. So, yung mga mini-maintain mo, for example, meron kang ATM card na may maintaining balance na 500, yan normally ay classified as a savings account. Dahil ang pinagkaiba ng demand and savings account is that yung demand deposits ay merong checkbooks or classified as checking accounts. So time deposits, this is essentially the same as savings deposit. However, mas mataas ang interest ng time deposits at ito kasing time deposits merong period kaya siya tinawag na time. Meron lang period kung saan pwede mong i-withdraw yung amount na na-deposit mo sa bank, and it is evidenced by a certificate of deposit. So meron siyang certificate of deposit. The time deposits, pwede mo rin siyang i-withdraw anytime. However, makaklasify na yon na pre-termination of the contract. Ibig sabihin, there is a possibility na hindi mo ma-withdraw yung total amount ng the time deposit o yung interest na na-accrue doon ay hindi mo ma-withdraw. So, yun yung difference between savings and demand deposit. So, the question is, dito sa tatlong bank deposits account, alin ba ang nire-reconcile? So, let's proceed with the next slide. Yung konsepto kasi ng bank reconciliation ay yung book records ay kino-compare sa iyong bank records. So, kung meron kang papaano mo yan mako-compare? Yun yung use ng bank reconciliation statements. Since savings and time deposits ay wala yung mga mga checkbooks or hindi yan classified as checking accounts, hindi ginagawa ng bank reconciliation statement, hindi necessary ang reconciliation for savings and time deposits dahil kung ano ang balanse doon sa savings and time deposits, normally yun din ang magiging balanse mo sa iyong book accounts. So itong demand deposits ang ginagawa ng bank reconciliation statements simply because meron kang cheque na nai-issue dito. So may possibility kasi na yung cheque ay nag-return, may possibility na yung cheque ay hindi pa na-encash nung payee. So nire-reconcile natin yung mga ganong items. So be mindful that only demand deposits are prepared with BRS, yung bank reconciliation statement. So before we proceed So having learned that demand deposits ang ginagawa ng bank reconciliation statements, let us first illustrate yung concept ng pag-deposit at pag-withdraw sa isang bank account para mas maintindihan mo kung ano yung kailangang i-reconcile. So let us illustrate, for example, halimbawa sa books ng depositor, meron kang collection from your customers. So how do you record it? You debit cash in bank, for example, 20,000, and then you credit accounts receivable. So inaalis yung receivable account. Sa libro naman ni bangko, in the point of view of the bank, kapag ikaw ay nag-deposit, ang entry naman ni bank ay dinidebit niya yung cash dahil naka-receive siya ng pera mula sa'yo. Then, kinikredit niya naman yung account mo. So, company XYZ, 20,000. So, yung point of view ni depositor, naka-debit yung cash in bank, sa books naman ng bank ay naka-credit ang iyong yung depositor's account. So, wag kang malilito doon. Kapag nasa point of view ka ng bank, yung credit ng iyong bank account is the amount of your deposit in the bank. So you debit cash 20,000, then you credit company XYZ. So may note dito, when the deposit is made, there is debtor-creditor relationship. So nung nag-deposit si depositor sa kanyang bank account, meron ng liability ngayon si bangko sa'yo. Kumbaga, may utang na sa'yo si bank na 20,000. So kapag winidraw mo yan, tsaka yan, marireverse yung entry na yan. Debiting company XYZ and then crediting cash kapag winidraw. So as long as na-maintain yung deposit doon, ganito ang sistema. So let's look at how what if papaano naman kapag nag-issue ka ng cheque in payment of a liability. Remember, demand deposit ang pinag-uusapan natin. So in the books of the depositor, ang sabi dito ay kapag ikaw ay nagbayad ng utang, you debit accounts payable, binawasan mo ang iyong liability and then you credit cash. Sa books naman ng bangko, how they treat the issuance of a check, kapag yan ay pinresent na sa bank at yan ay in-encash or dineposit sa ibang bank account, yung check na yon, ang entry ni bank is debit the depositor's account, the company XYZ, for example, 20,000, and then credit cash 20,000. So, ibig sabihin, nabawasan ng iyong deposit dun sa bank na yon because of the issuance of a check and eventual presentment. Kumaga, pinresent or in-encash na yan nung payee na binayaran mo. So, ang note dito is, when a check is issued, the depositor orders the bank to pay its payee out of its deposit in bank. Kumbaga, inuutusan, yung cheque na in-issue mo is an order to the bank na bayaran yung payee na naka-indicate doon out of the deposit in the bank. So, out of the deposit in the bank. So, ang sinasabi dito, kung may balance yung bank account mo. Because, for example, 15,000 na lang ang laman ng iyong deposit in the bank, hindi ma-effect yung transaction because insufficient yung fund. So yan lang yung basic concept of yung kanina pinakita natin, yung pag nag-deposit ka ng naka-receive ka ng cash, at ito naman ay kapag nag-disburse ka ng cash. So what is the concept of bank reconciliation? Bank reconciliation is essential upon maintaining the proper cash balances of both the book and the bank balance. So, as the term implies, nire-reconcile mo lang ang iyong bank balance versus your book balance. So, this bank statement is normally prepared every month to reconcile the balances after the whole month transaction. So, normally monthly ang reporting ng bank reconciliation statement. So, anong pinoprovide niya? The beginning month balance, the total deposits and other bank credits, the total checks paid, the other service charges, and the ending cash balance. So, kailangan kasi ma-maintain na yung bank balance mo at book balance mo ay reconciled at the end of the month. Simply because, baka kasi mamaya issue ng cheque ay wala na palang laman ng iyong bank account or otherwise. So, pwede kang magkaroon ng mga bounce checks diyan or tumalbog yung mga checking ini-issue mo kapag hindi reconcile yan. Kasi baka mamaya, 20,000 na lang pala ang laman ng bank balance, ang laman ng bank account mo, tapos sa book mo ay 50,000 pa. So there is a possibility of making your checks, returning the checks, o magkakaroon ng mga tumalbog na cheque, which is one of the factors or reasons on the preparation of the bank reconciliation statement. So how do we reconcile now? So we have book reconciling items and the bank reconciling items. So sa book reconciling items, credit memo, debit memo errors. Bank reconciling items, deposits in transit, outstanding checks, and errors. So let's look isa-isahin natin. The credit memos are the items that not representing deposits credited by the bank to the company's accounts. So anong ibig sabihin nito? 'Di ba kanina ang sabi, when you deposit a collection sa bank, ang ang entry mo, balikan natin. When you deposit, you debit cash in bank, you credit AR. Sa bank naman, you debit cash, they credit the company account. So, ang sinasabi, hindi ito yung sinasabing credit memo on the book reconciling items. Meron pang mga ibang items na nakikredit sa iyong company bank account na hindi naman siya yung dineposit mo. Ano yung mga example na normally ay hindi mo yan alam. Si bank ang unang nakakaalam. Ano yan? One, for example, notes receivable collected by the bank in favor of the depositor. So, halimbawa, merong nagbayad doon meron kang receivable na ang nakakolekta ay si bank, then dineposit ni bank doon sa iyong account. Kinredit niya doon sa account mo, kaya nga siya credit memo. So, dapat ay i-add mo yan doon sa iyong book records. Proceeds of the bank loan of the depositor. For example, nag-loan si depositor doon sa bangko kung saan nakadeposit ang kanyang pera. Normally, hindi ka naman nai-issuehan ng cheque ni bangko. I-credit na lang niya doon sa account mo. So, sino unang makakaalam niyan? Si bank. So, later on, malalaman mo lang yan. Kaya, i-add mo yan as a credit memo. Next, matured time deposits transferred by the bank to the depositor's account. For example, nag-avail ka ng time deposit at nag-mature na yon. So, pag nag-mature yon, ibig sabihin, babalik yung pera mo with interest. So, anong gagawin ni bank dyan? I-credit niya yan doon sa account mo para madagdagan yung account mo. Kaya yan ay credit memo. Sino unang makakaalam? Si bank. So, huli mo na lang yan malalaman later on pag nag-check ka sa bank. Kaya i-add mo yan sa yung book records. Kaya siya credit memos. So, let's proceed with next, yung debit memos naman. Dito tayo sa debit memos. Debit memos are items that not represent the checks paid by the bank. So, anong sinasabi dito? Balikan uli natin yung kanina. Ang sabi kanina, when you issue a check, sa records mo, accounts payable, cash ka. Dahil tinatanggal mo yung liability. Pero sa records naman ni bank, binabawasan niya ang iyong bank account. Company XYZ, debit yon, credit mo yun. Credit ni bank yung cash. Dahil may nag-encash ng check or may nag-deposit ng check. So etong scenario na to, hindi ito yung tinutukoy dito sa debit memo. Debit memo na nakalagay dito. These are items that not represent checks paid by the bank. So meron pa palang mga ibang items na pwedeng magbawas sa iyong bank account. Ano yung examples niyan? One, the NSF checks, yung no sufficient fund checks. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Ang ibig sabihin lang nito, halimbawa ikaw ay merong kang na-receive na payment from your customer na cheque via check, then syempre ang gagawin mo doon, i-deposit mo yun sa bank account mo. So once na dineposit mo yun sa bank account mo, mag-observe pa yun ng 3 days clearing. So tinitingnan sa 3 days clearing kung merong bang fund o merong bang pondo yung bank account na pinanggalingan yung nag-issue ng cheque. So nangyayari itong no sufficient fund checks kapag yung cheque ay kulang yung pondo do sa yung nag-issue ng cheque, kulang yung pondo ng kanyang bank account at the time na ini-encash or dinideposit yung cheque na yan. So, normally yan ay magre-return. So, anong mangyayari dyan? Normally kasi yan ay ni-record mo na sa book mo as collections mo. So, you debit cash, you credit accounts receivable originally. Pero dahil yan ay dahil nung dineposit mo yan sa bangko, yan ay mababawasan ang iyong bank account. Hindi mababawasan ng iyong bank account. Hindi yan mare-reflect as a deposit to your bank account. So, dapat yan ay ibawas mo muna sa iyong book records dahil originally yan ay ni-record mo na as collection. So, no sufficient fund checks yan. Kaya siya debit memo doon sa bank account. So, yan ay book reconciling item. Sa book mo syempre i-correct yan dahil sa bank naman okay naman sa bank naman hindi pa naman nila tinanggap yung transaction pero ikaw ni-record mo na siya as collection. Next, technically defective checks. Ano ibig sabihin ng technically defective checks? Parang NSF checks. However, ang reason kung bakit hindi naman ito tinanggap ng bangko ay pwedeng merong erasures dun sa cheque, pwedeng walang pirma yung cheque, or other clerical errors. So, may defect dun sa mismong cheque. Na originally ito ay ni-record mo na as collection. So, nag-debit ka na ng cash, debit cash, credit accounts receivable na dyan. Pero nung dineposit, hindi tinanggap ng bangko. So, naka-debit, yan ay classified as a debit memo. So, tanggalin mo muna sa yung book reconciling item. So, anong gagawin dyan? Normally, i-cure muna yung defect ng cheque bago i-deposit ulit. Next, bank service charges. Ano tong bank service charge? Normally, every month ay merong bank service charge na nai-incur doon sa kumbaga yung processing or yung kumbaga yung pagkaka-maintain ng account mo sa bangko. Then, yung halimbawa, merong mga checkbooks na in order, normally yan ay binabawas na diretso sa yung bank account. So, yun ay bawas din dapat sa yung normally yun dapat ay bawas din sa iyong book sa iyong book balance. Next is the reduction of loan. For example, yung amortization mo for your payment for the loan ay directly dinedebit na agad ng bank account. So, sino unang nakakaalam niyan? Yung bank. Binabawas na niya agad dun sa yung bank balance. So, yan ay ibawas mo din sa yung book records dahil hindi mo pa yan nare-record. So, errors, later on we will discuss itong errors na yan. So, let's proceed with the deposit in transit. So, dito naman tayo sa bank reconciling items. Itong deposits in transit are collections already reported by the depositor but not yet recorded in the bank. So, may collection ka na pero hindi pa yan recorded sa bank. Anong example niyan? Collections already forwarded to the bank but too late to appear in the bank statements. Normally kasi yan ay merong mga clearing. Normally, halimbawa, cheque yung dineposit mo. Hindi yan agad nare-reflect. Merong mga clearing time pa yan. So, yun ay naka-classify as deposit in transit. Another example, yung undeposited collections or cash on hand awaiting deposit, normally yan, nire-record mo na yan as deposit mo sa you debit, for example, you debit cash and then you credit the, for example, income or kaya receivable. So, dineposit sa record mo sa book, sa record mo sa book ay you already journalize the transaction as a cash in bank pero hindi pa naman pala talaga na de-deposit. So, it can be classified as deposits in transit. Normally, itong deposits in transit ay nag-a-arise at the end of the month, yung mga cut-off period. For example, at the end of the month ay dineposit mo siya pero sa bank statement wala pang naka-reflect dahil nga merong mga clearing time, mga ganon. So, yun ang deposit in transit. So, ano ang gagawin dyan? Sa bank, it is a bank reconciling item because it is already a deposit but not yet recorded in the bank. I-add mo ito sa iyong bank balance. Next, outstanding checks. Checks already recorded by the depositor as cash disbursements but not yet recorded in the bank. Ito naman, kabaliktaran ng deposits. Ito naman, nag-issue ka na ng cheque, nabigay mo na doon sa payee, pero hindi niya pa ini-encash o hindi niya pa ini-deposit. Yun nga yung nandito. Checks drawn. Nabigay mo na pero hindi pa nila ini-encash. So, yon ay outstanding check. So, ibig sabihin, sa records mo, binawas mo na yon as your cash balance. Pero sa bank, hindi pa nababawas. So, ibawas mo yon sa iyong bank balance to reflect the the real balance of the bank account. So we have a note here. Certified check is one where the bank has a stamp accepted or certified indicating sufficiency of fund. So there are cases na hindi pa siya reflected sa iyong bank account but it is certified by the bank. Pag merong note na yun ay certified na, ibawas mo na yun sa iyong outstanding check because kapag certified na yung check, normally ay ire-record na yun ng bank as a withdrawal on the bank account, as a encashment or a debit to the bank account. So, ibawas na yon. Okay, let's proceed to the forms of bank reconciliation. It can either be adjusted balance method, book to bank method, and bank to book method. So later on, we will discuss siguro to on the next part of the video. We will be ending our discussion with the reconciling items. So later, we will proceed with the forms of bank reconciliation. Thank you.